Hello everyone, this is Christy with MyScrapbookEvolution.com, and it's time for another prompt from the Stencilfied journal project. If you're looking for prompts 1 through 6, you can find those on my YouTube channel or on the MyScrapbookEvolution.com blog. Just to recap, I am not affiliated or compensated by Stencil Girl for participating in this project. I'm just doing it for fun with stencils from my stash. This prompt calls for us to stencil on a page, rip it out of our art journal, and then add it back in. I'm working once again inside my upcycled art catalog art journal, and I'm using black gesso to cover up some portions of the picture that I don't want to see. I do like that turquoise color that is in the background of the photo, so I'm going to leave some of that showing. And I'm just using a brayer to sort of spread the black gesso around. Now my brayer isn't completely clean and smooth. I don't always wash it off immediately after I use it. So it has a little bit of dried paint, and though you probably can't see it in the video, there is a little bit of texture that it will leave behind. I'm not going to be showing all of the stenciling today. I think you kind of know how to stencil. What I want to talk about is stenciling over a space of time and why to do it. I'm a busy mom. I like to spend time with my family, but I also have these tiny little pockets of idle time, or when I'm sitting in front of the TV, I just kind of want something to do. So I have my art journal open when I'm homeschooling my son, when I'm playing a video game with my family, and I'm waiting for parts of the game to load, and I'll just work on small sections of the stencil. This does a couple of things. It allows the project to dry, so I'm less likely to smudge anything on the stencil, and I can also feel a little more relaxed. It's just kind of like idle doodling, except it's stenciling with a purpose. At the end of whatever the project is, I'll have this giant stencil design ready to go as a background for an upcoming art journal page. Now I am working with a white gel pen today, and this gel pen is pretty used up. There's almost no ink left in this pen. It's kind of dry and scratchy in spots. It only occasionally gives me full, bright, juicy ink color. But that's okay. I kind of like this scratched up look, and I can feel good about myself because I'm using up every last bit of ink out of the pen that I can get. So don't discount your supplies just because they are coming to the end of their lifespan. See what those supplies can still do for you. So now it's time to tear this page out of the art journal. The other gessoed page will be saved for later on. And I'm not really tearing this out of the page with any particular purpose or any plan in mind. I'm just going to take it and divide it up into sections and seeing how the paper wants to rip. And I can always rip it smaller. I started big, and I know that I can go down smaller if I need to. And I'm just going to use a gel matte medium to adhere this to the page. I've chosen the page opposite an art journal page that I created earlier on, the one in which I punched holes in the art journal. I know that I want to do another portrait, so I'm kind of thinking about how I want to place these pieces in regard to a portrait that I might want to draw. Just be aware if you use ink that it may kind of run a little bit, and I did have that issue a slight bit with some of the gel ink here. It's okay, it just kind of ended up looking faded, and there's a little bit of a whitewashed look over parts of the black gesso, and I'm okay with that. So now I want to put in another layer. There's a little bit of the catalog showing below, some of the text from the catalog, and I don't want that there. I'm pulling a few colors from the page to the right of it. I don't want it to be the exact same. I want there to be a little bit of contrast. So there's some of this red that you can see just a tiny bit through that hole that I punched in the sun portion of that other art journal page. And I'm going to use a little bit of teal as well, another color pulled up from the design in that sun. And of course, Pixie has to come and investigate what I'm doing. She's always around when I'm working. Part of what I'm doing when I'm adding the paint is thinking about the position of the portrait that I wanted to create. And at first I'm spreading everything with the brayer. And I'm still not sure at this point exactly what the portrait's going to look like, but I'm starting now to spread the paint around where I think the person is going to go. And what I'm going to do is look to see if a pattern or a shape emerges for that portrait. Now, I do have quite a few Stencil Girl stencils in my stash, and you are probably wondering why I keep using the same ones over and over again. I kind of get on these kicks where I just really love a few stencils. They kind of become my current favorites, and I just use them over and over again. So today I'm once again working with the Art Deco Medallion Repeating Corner. That's what you're seeing me use here with a little bit of white paint. And earlier on I used the Rose Window Border Stencil. I'm using this one and I'm just trying to figure out the placement, and I end up creating another crown, and that seems to be another thing that I'm noticing I like to do with some of my characters that I create. I love giving them headdresses or crowns to wear. Now I'm just using a white china marker, and it's technically not a marker, it's more like a crayon. It's used for porcelain, and I'm using that to sketch out my character. I can kind of see that the teal paint has formed the outline of what could be a person. And this is not going to be an ultra realistic drawing. I'm still challenging myself to do these quick, light, fast, and easy portraits or characters in 5 minutes or less. So you end up with a very quirky, kind of cartoonish looking, fanciful person when you're finished. The white china marker is really nice because it shows up against a dark background. So instead of using a pencil, you might find that you want a light color, like maybe an Inktense pencil if you don't have the white china marker, something that will allow you to see what you're sketching. So the lines of the white china marker weren't crisp enough, so I'm coming back in with a white Posca pen, and this is a fine tip marker. It's very fluid acrylic. And I'm just sort of adding a few additional details that I didn't sketch out before. I'm not, again, looking for perfection. I'm just doing really quick sketches and drawings and just sort of seeing what happens. I'm at the point in my project where I'm adding in all of the final details. I chose to pull colors up both from the background of this page, and as you'll recall, some of those colors are in the page opposite it. It's not something that you have to do when you art journal. It does make me feel a little bit better about the page when I do it. It adds a little cohesion. It's very subtle, but it does make the book feel a little more cohesive. I ended up calling this page The Concerned Queen. I never mean to do it, but a lot of my characters, when I draw them, end up taking on a very serious or concerned or anxious, wistful kind of expression. So I just kind of go with whatever character reveals itself on the page. So here's just a final look at the completed page. You can see it in more detail at myscrapbookevolution.com, along with all of the other pages I've created for the Stencilfied journal prompts. This project is hosted by Tina Walker. She's a columnist for the Stencil Girl blog. You'll want to stop by her blog and see what she did for this particular prompt. I'll have a link to that in the video notes below. Don't forget, you can play along too. If you make a project, link up to it in the comments for this video or the comments on the My Scrapbook Evolution blog.